Persnickety Witch here. I am going on a little goldenrod foraging mission, and I just wanted to show you guys, I think it's so interesting what's involved in being a wildcrafter but living in the city, because not all of us can live out in the country in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes we have access to places in the country but we can't always get there. And so I kind of wanted to make a video to showcase how, for those of us that don't live out in the middle of the country or in a foresty area, how we can still have access to some of the medicinal and edible plants that we need. Taking precautions, of course, which we'll discuss. But let's go ahead and head over to, I saw a goldenrod patch down here, roadside, and we'll check it out. So this is one of my spots. This is an abandoned, not abandoned, but an empty lot that's been left to just grow wild. They're up in the distance in the front there. I have in the past foraged quite a bit of stuff from there. Climb up the hill and head back a little bit of a ways, and you're no longer by the street. And the thing too is this street hardly gets any traffic. It is a back way that I don't even know very many people know about to get to a place of business. So anyway, just want to show this is what it can look like sometimes. But I mean, this place is loaded with, of course, kudzu because we are in the south, but this whole entire patch right here is all evening primrose growing wild. I've also foraged anything from coneflower to sweet pea, goodness gracious, beautiful purple clover, all kinds of things from here. But we're in the middle of the city. So the general rule with foraging roadside is going to be, you're going to want at least 10. I try to go for more 15 or 20 feet back from the road, because you don't want the plants that you're picking to be, contaminated with oil and gas, exhaust and things from the car. That's just a general rule that I tend to abide by. I think most people would abide by. I'm sure there's people that say that you shouldn't even be collecting roadside, that it's just never a good idea. But like I said, for some of us, our options are limited, and we don't always have access to beautiful grasslands and meadows and wildernesses and forests and all the amazing places we find the plants that we need. The plants that we need grow right here for us. Oftentimes they're called weeds, which is like a nasty word with a negative connotation. It means usually something we don't want in our yards, right? But my experience has been that most of these things we call weeds are in effect medicinal and beneficial plants. We're just so disconnected from that right now at this point in society. I do believe there's a shift happening. I do think that there are people coming back to that, and I'm really happy for that. But for the most part, we're very disconnected from the natural world and from our magic. We have all these amazing beneficial plants here with us, and we don't even oftentimes recognize or realize it. Okay, I think we're almost to the goldenrod patch. So I'm gonna shut off and I'll be right back. Looks like the goldenrod patch is a little farther up than I thought it was. Oh, I'm in the shade now, but man, that heat was getting to me. Oh, clematis. It's so pretty. 'Tis the season for clematis. And oh, I thought it was all gone at this point, but look what's up here too, growing wild on the road. Can you see? Lovely, decadent, sweet honeysuckle. Yum. I have so many fond memories of honeysuckle. When I was a little girl, my maternal grandmother owned a piece of property. It was really a large piece of property for California standards. But she had chickens, she had a mule, she had a horse. And when I was a little girl, I used to love to go and to grandma's and pretend I was Laura Ingalls Wilder collecting the eggs. But one of the other things that I loved to do was she had a fence that basically was the border line of her property, and the entire thing was just completely covered in honeysuckle. And so I have these sweet, sweet memories in the summertime of pulling it down and pulling it out and letting the sweet dew just fall in the back of my tongue. Honeysuckle's awesome. Okay, I'm here, all nice and sweaty and flushed, looking my best, but hey, what a girl's got to do to forage to get her goldenrod. But here's the thing. Sometimes what you see when you're driving, what you imagine you see roadside, is not actually what you see. So I'm here at the goldenrod field where I swore I could see foliage that looked like goldenrod, swore I could see yellow, traces of yellow between them. And yeah, no goldenrod, but some other pretty things here we could look at. And then, just like that, you arrive upon this vast meadow of what you think is going to be goldenrod, turns out not to be goldenrod, and then your phone battery decides to die. So here we are, back at the house. The whole goldenrod venture was a no-go, but we still managed to collect a few pretty cool things I thought I would share with you. And this is my adorable kitty Theo, in case you didn't catch him in my first video. So apparently the yellow, traces of yellow that I saw between all of what I thought were the goldenrod foliage were actually these cute little babies. Some bearded beggar ticks, these pretty little yellow flowers. They're in the sunflower family. And there was actually a couple little marguerite daisies in there too. They're so darling. So I brought these home just to enjoy, but I also was able to grab a couple of things that I'm going to put here in the garden. And so I've got some trumpet vine and some morning glory, both I'm hoping to propagate. Brought home also some small little bushes of evening primrose that I'm going to also pot and hope that they do well enough. I'm going to transplant them back into the garden. And then my most favorite and treasured of all my finds that I found today, I'm so excited about, when I was walking back to the car, is these little babies. This is called Self-Heal or Heal All, and it is an amazing plant, good for so many things, as you can tell by its name. So, super excited about those. Didn't find the goldenrod, but still got an amazing bounty of beautiful things. So, because my battery died, I was not able to actually get footage of that field that I hiked to with you guys, where I thought there was goldenrod and there wasn't, but I still want to take the opportunity to share with you some of the treasures that can be found if you know where to look. This is right behind my grocery store, tucked in the back behind all of the parking lot. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's very overgrown this year, so I haven't been able to collect anything, but this is usually my goldenrod collecting spot. There's, right now it's so fully grown in, you can't even get down there. I'm hoping something is going to happen. It's going to make it possible for you to forage here later, because technically you can't see it right now, but all of this foliage down there, this entire field is all goldenrod. And something I didn't see last year that it seems to be here this year, I'm noticing, share with you one of my new favoriteest things I'd never encountered until I moved here to the south. See if I can get close enough in there. This smartweed. Oh my goodness, I love it. It's one of my very favorites. If you've ever seen any of my tours that I've done of my garden on Instagram, you've been able to see it. I love the leaves. This is actually maybe a different variety. The one I have at home has red stems and these variegated stems with knots, which I believe is why it's also called knotweed, and the leaves have these amazing markings. They look like a snake, back of a snake. Love them. Anyway, so goldenrod, smartweed, I think there was even a patch of nettles in here, pokeberry, all kinds of things can be found just in an abandoned lot or an uninhabited area that doesn't have any development yet. It's all there for you, folks. That, my friends, is just what happens sometimes when you're wildcrafting. Whew, I'm exhausted, I'm hot. I ended up with no goldenrod, but I'm still happy with what I got. And, you know, I think I knew the moment I arrived upon that field and didn't see it there that it was probably a little too early in the season for goldenrod collecting, but I had a need for it and I thought it was worth a shot to see what I could find. And of course, I know from experience, even if you don't find initially what you're out searching for, you still end up finding something. And so I would say today was still a success. Plenty of other good stuff. I'm so excited about the Self-Heal. That is a treasure trove for my garden. And all of it was found roadside, right here in the city. Now granted, it's not New York City, it's not Chicago, maybe where I live wouldn't be considered the big city, but it's certainly not out in the middle of the country. And so I just kind of wanted to make this video to dispel the myth that you only really can have access to herbs if you grow them yourself, or if you live out in the country where you have lots of amazing things growing that are growing wild that happen to be medicinal and beneficial. And the truth is, it really is all around us. It's right here for us. The earth sustains us. The earth is there to help and support us. And the plants are our friends. They are our allies. And so we really do live in cohabitation with them, sometimes without even realizing it. And I was so excited when I started this journey. I always have kind of called myself, or I'm a self-professed wildcrafter on my way to wort hunter, which is just a fancy term for herbalist. Wildcrafting is where I started, and I love it. It's such an exciting thing to know that all of these plants grow so nearby us, and so many of them are medicinal, and so many of them are beneficial and edible. Oh my goodness, the amount of things that we can eat that we don't eat because it doesn't come out of the grocery store. You'd be really surprised. So you don't need to necessarily have a fully established garden to do this sort of thing. You do have to have a bit of a knowledge, a bit of an education. Nowadays they have great plant identification apps that you can use. Even so, I make sure to go home and do my research and double check things and then double check it again. But bottom line is, if wildcrafting is something that you're interested in doing, if foraging is something that you want to get into, you don't have to live in the country, my friends. You can live in the city and you can still do it. And hopefully this video showed you that.